Are you too busy, too stressed out, unhealthy? Then this is the place for you. Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, where we help you create wellness and balance with a holistic approach that will work for you, even with the busiest of schedules, so you can live the life you want. And now, here's your host, Diane Randall.
Hello and welcome. I'm Diane Randall, your host. I want to thank you for listening, and if you're new to the show, thank you. I'm really excited that you're here to listen to today's topic. We're going to talk about procrastination. Are you a procrastinator? If you're not, then we all know people who procrastinate. So I'm very excited to have my guest, Eric Twiggs, here today. He is a procrastination prevention partner. So exciting, right? Eric Twiggs is an expert in overcoming procrastination and the author of The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. Eric, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on your show. It's an honor.
And it is an honor to have you here to talk about procrastination because we never talk about it in a positive way. It's more of a judgment, right?
Right. True.
So I want you to tell us, what is it about procrastination? How do we get that way? How do we become procrastinators?
Well, here's the thing. So if you look at it on the surface, you would think that someone who's procrastinating is just being lazy. And that was kind of always my thoughts about procrastination. But when you really start to peel back the onion, it's got a lot of different root causes. And the primary cause that I see, and I've done over 28,000 coaching sessions with entrepreneurs, is fear. Fear is the number one thing that causes people to procrastinate. So we come up with these creative avoidance activities when there's something we know we need to do, because deep down we're afraid of something. Wow. And that's what causes us, that's what keeps us from moving forward.
Interesting. So what is it? Is it fear of failure, fear of success? What do you think it is with the thousands of coaching sessions that you've done?
Well, a lot of it is the fear of failure. So it's in three buckets, and you've pretty much mentioned them. We mentioned two of the three. So you have the fear of failure, you have the fear of success, and then you also have the fear of the unknown that trips people up. So the fear of failure, I think I know myself, that affected me in school, like when I was in college. So I never wanted to test my limits because I always had this doubt that maybe deep down I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. So maybe that's what I did. I talk about this in the book. I created what I call a false win-win. So let's say we had a test in one of my classes, and if I procrastinated to the last minute and things went well, I win. So I say, hey, look, imagine what could have happened if I actually studied and put the time in. But then if, let's say I took a test and it didn't go so well, I still win because I said, well, you know what? I didn't give it my all. I procrastinated. I waited until the last minute. But deep down, I was afraid to really test my limits. And I think a lot of our listeners are struggling with that in different arenas as well. So fear is a big thing that causes us to procrastinate.
Wow. So how do you coach people through that fear?
Well, I think the first step is you have to have that awareness that the real reason you're not moving forward is that there's something that you're afraid of. So typically if someone is procrastinating, we start to unpack, what are you afraid of? And usually that fear comes out. So it's about, and I talk about it in the book. And a big portion of the book, I make the point that one of the key steps to overcoming procrastination is really becoming aware of what causes you to procrastinate, what your triggers are. Because the big thing is, like, people want to relieve that anxiety. So here's what, let me spell out why we really have to overcome this fear when it becomes to procrastination, because let's say you've got a deadline, right? So you got to do this presentation. Now you feel afraid. So to relieve the anxiety feeling, you put it off. You check your social media stream, you organize the papers on your desk, whatever your creative avoidance strategy of choice is, you do that. But what happens is, as the deadline gets closer, you start feeling the anxiety because you're procrastinating.
Right.
So now you're afraid of the event and you're procrastinating. So now it's just this vicious cycle of anxiety.
Wow. I can think of times in my own life when I procrastinated. And even today, if I find myself procrastinating, it's absolutely something I don't want to do.
Right.
I feel it. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I'm sitting on the sidelines with this thing. and then when it, like you said, when it gets down to the wire, I'm either going to do it or I'm going to change my mind.
Right.
So what does it cost us when we procrastinate? What is it costing us?
Well, here's the thing. So one of the things with procrastination, it's like the silent killer because you get away with it. Oh, you think you've gotten away with it, right? So you wait till the last minute to put your presentation together and you feel like, oh, okay, it went pretty good. Everybody's telling me I did a good job. I can procrastinate again. But if you look, you sacrifice quality. Especially if it's a creative project, for example, you're really sacrificing quality because when you start earlier, your ideas have time to develop and you think of new things, and it's going to be better than if you just wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
So but you don't realize that you're costing yourself quality. It can cost you your reputation. So a lot of times, we all have that individual in our office or other arenas who they're always late. You know, if this thing starts at 8 o'clock, they're going to be there 10 after, 15 after.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I do.
And
know
they're going to walk,
people.
right. They're going to walk in the room looking disheveled and disorganized. And that's okay. That's just Larry, the late guy. But the challenge is when upper management, let's say if it's a job situation, if upper management's looking to fill a high level opening, I've never heard them say, hey, you know what? Let's promote Larry, the late guy from accounting.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. And Larry has no idea that he's hurting himself.
Wow.
And then, so think about this too. So companies are hoping that you procrastinate.
Why?
Like credit card companies. Credit card companies
yeah.
are hoping you don't pay your bill on time.
Yeah, I get that one. Because they make more money.
Right. Because they are profiting off of the late fees. I mean, the IRS makes millions and millions of dollars because of the late extensions and things of that nature. So there's a financial cost.
Wow. Yeah, I get those two. So what you're saying is the consumerism and is built around our habits, our procrastination habits.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So just another quick example, a lot of businesses, they do mail-in rebates. Right?
Yes.
So they'll give you, you know why they do that? Because they know a big portion of the population, they aren't going to take the time to mail in the rebate.
And I'm one of those people. I do not want to mail in a rebate to get my 20% discount. So I am definitely one of those people, but I never thought about it in a sense where companies take advantage of a procrastination habit that you might be a procrastinator.
They know a majority of the population is not going to mail it in. So now they get the benefit of marketing that rebate to get you to buy it, knowing that you're not going to take advantage of it.
Wow, that is so interesting. I just never thought about it in that sense that, you know, it's impacting you in a lot of ways in all aspects of your life, not just personally, but also from a financial point of view.
Yes.
Wow. So talk about how the listeners or anyone can find, is it a cure for procrastination?
Well, yes. So I talk about in the book, so you have the cost of procrastination, you have the causes of procrastination. This is how the book is divided up. Mm-hmm. And then I get into the cures for procrastination. And I've come up with a model, again, based off of all these different coaching sessions and interactions I've had with people. It's called the Procrastination Prevention Pyramid. And it's got, so the first step is to, your attitude is the first level that's on that pyramid, because everything starts with your mindset. And so people that I have that are stuck, that aren't moving forward, 80% of the time it's because of their mindset. And so you really have to check your mindset. Do you have a growth mindset where you're saying, you know what, I can move forward? Or are you saying, well, Eric, I'm such a procrastinator. I've always been a procrastinator. That's just what I do. Well, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so you really have to check your mindset. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? Believe it or not, if you're a pessimist, and all the studies prove it, if you're a pessimist, if your glass is half empty, you are more likely to procrastinate. Why? Because you're going to say, well, what's the use? It's probably not going to work out anyway. There's no need. It's no need for me to make the sales call because they're probably not going to buy anyway, blah, 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 blah. So we really have to watch our attitude and watch our mindset. So that's the first step in curing and overcoming procrastination. And one other thing I want to say, something else is really getting clear on your purpose is huge. When you know what you're called to do and you've got the clarity of purpose, then taking the next steps become that much easier. And a lot of people that I work with that have procrastination issues, they don't know ultimately what it is that they want to do. Wow. But once you get clear, then you'll find that you're not procrastinating. And you, like for me, I can wake up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning without my alarm clock because I'm so focused on purpose. And I know that when I wake up, there's some things that I have to do.
Love that. Love that.
Thank you.
So you talk about procrastination, you talk about the attitude as the first thing, the mindset. What other parts of the pyramid can you talk about?
Great. So next is awareness. So once you've gotten your mindset right, it's awareness, and it's being aware of your power times, right? We all have this genetic clock where some of us are morning people, like me. So some of us are annoying morning people, right? We're perky.
I'm a morning person. I'm a morning person. My brain is going 50 miles an hour. I'm ready for anything at 5 o'clock in the morning. Most mornings.
Right. Yeah. So am I. I'm the exact same way.
Yeah.
Then some people are actually night owls. They get going later in the day and into the evening. That's when their juices start flowing. So here's the key where awareness comes in is to schedule your highest priority activities during those times when you have the most energy, right? So for example, for me, I would try to do writing projects in the evening. I've worked a 10, 11, 12-hour day. My energy's down anyway because it's later, and I would struggle. And the ideas wouldn't come to mind. But when I did that project first thing in the morning, all kinds of ideas were coming to me. So that's really where awareness is. And you have to know the environments. Are you in an environment? You have to be aware of your environment. Are you in an environment that's going to help you move forward? And that could be something as simple as, making a point to go to your various, like if you're an entrepreneur, going to your business's conventions, where you can get around people that are like you, that are trying to move in the same direction. Because no matter what you do as an entrepreneur, usually the people that are in your circles outside of your work don't understand what you're doing. So they may discourage you.
Exactly. And that's common. That's common. But what I hear you saying is find the like-minded people and I always say your tribe, people that want and do the same things that you do.
Absolutely. And just being aware. So sometimes you may have this idea and you bounce it off of the wrong person and they discourage you and you end up not moving forward with it, or you end up procrastinating. But you took advice from someone who is not moving in the same direction as you. who really wasn't qualified to give you input.
But they did it based on their experiences, their conditioning, and how they feel, even though it's not as supportive as asking someone, like you said, who has the same sort of purpose that you do.
Right. And that's where awareness comes in. So yeah, what can I do? And I always tell people that, if you're looking to get into a particular arena, find people that are already doing it. That's such a shortcut.
Wow.
Because they can give you qualified advice. If you want to be a professional speaker, join a professional speakers association.
Yeah, it sounds like there's if you become aware, that's like the biggest thing. And then you have avenues, or you have things you can do to support yourself.
Yes.
As you figure out who you are, what you want to do, what your purpose is, or what you're called to do. That's interesting. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. So that's the second rung on the procrastination pyramid.
How many rungs did you say it was?
There's a total of 5 rungs. That was the second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about the third rung?
So next you have animation. So animation is just your energy levels. Do you have the right energy? So I don't. People like to refer to things as time management. I like to consider it more so energy management.
I've changed that as well. It's about what needs your energy and attention at this time versus time management.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've changed my mind on that also.
and are you, again, these steps kind of play off of each other, but are you aware of your energy levels? There are things you can do like exercise that really can help you get the blood flowing. Like I have this habit of running first thing in the morning, and I find that, my mind is so much clearer after I go on a run, and it just really sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And also, what are you eating?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the food you're eating. It's the amount of sleep that you're getting. That's a huge one.
Wow.
Really. And the good news is that in 2017, there's all kinds of apps that can help you to monitor those things.
Like sleep?
So for example, I have a fitness watch, and that when I wear it, it actually tracks each night how many hours I'm sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can actually, it's the watch I have is called, it's a Fitbit.
Okay, I've heard of Fitbit.
Yeah, so you download it onto your phone, and then you can, it has a way to measure your sleeping patterns, so you can track how much sleep you're getting. But, and I tell you, I notice a difference. If I get 8 hours of sleep, my presentations are better, my interactions are better than if I'm getting 4 hours of sleep.
Wow.
But again, it goes.
Wow, that's interesting, because now you can collect the data to actually present to your doctor. You can do an analysis and figure out what might be going on. Why am I not sleeping?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Right. So animation is key. And a lot of times, and think about it, when you don't feel well, when you're low energy, like for me, if it's late in the day and I've done several taxing things, I'll be more likely to procrastinate, if I don't have the right energy levels. So it's just something to be aware of. So the next step on the rung is automation. How can you automate certain things and make use of certain tools to help you to overcome procrastination? Like, for example, I use a lot of different apps that really have helped me to automate different processes. For example, like social media. I'm sure there's one you're familiar with. It's called Hootsuite.
Yes.
Right. So, a lot of times I talk to business owners that, I don't have time to post on social media, blah, blah, blah. And so the good thing with that app is you can schedule your posts out 30 days in advance.
That's what I love about it, because I am not a big want to post on social media either every day, but that has really helped me to stay up to date.
Right. And so, right. And so scheduling your posts. And then the good thing with that app is that it keeps you from having to look at your social media feed and you don't get distracted. So you go right to the app, you get done what you need to get done. There's also an app that's called SMS Scheduler. Again, that's SMS Scheduler. And so you can actually schedule text messages to yourself.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. It'll keep you on track, because if you know there's a certain task that you tend to procrastinate on, you can have it send you a reminder at a certain day and a certain time to get it done. And you think about it, we typically look at our text messages. Yeah, that's something most people respond to pretty frequently. So that's a great app to have in place.
That's a great app. And I use that feature on my cell phone because I need to be reminded. I want to be reminded maybe the week of something, 3 days before, 2 hours before, just in case I've been procrastinating and I really need to get this thing done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the big thing is delegating. Yeah, it's a a lot of times it's this form of perfectionism where we feel like, this thing, it has to be done perfectly and it has to be done by me.
Yeah.
Nobody can do it like Eric. But guess what? Eric ends up getting tired and frustrated and burnt out. So there are a lot of things that we can delegate to someone else and not take it on ourselves. And even something like delegating tasks. Like there's a business owner I work with. This guy has reached, a very successful status and, bringing in millions of dollars of revenue into his business. And he and I are talking and he's telling me about how he spent 5 hours cutting the grass at his place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And after the look I gave him, he got the message that, you know what, Eric, I can probably have someone else do that. And I could spend the 5 hours doing something else that's going to really move me forward as it relates to my purpose.
Right. I hear you when you say that. It's looking at what you're really doing with your time and how
Exactly.
you're using your time and the choices that you're making every day. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the last step is activity. So I put activity at the top because if you want to get to the top, you have to take action at the end of the day. But when you've addressed these other steps in the pyramid, now you're ready to take action. And that's where, the to-do lists come in, and knowing, and a lot of times it's a numbers game. If you take enough action, you're going to be successful. Especially if we're talking about a business setting, if we're talking about sales, if you present your service to enough people, just the law of averages says someone's going to say yes, right?
Right.
So that's the key. And if you've worked through those other steps, you're ready to take action. And it's very important to know your numbers, to know if you're in a sales situation, what is your conversion rate? So if you convert 15% of the phone calls you make. And so, if you want to get 3 sales that week, you need to make 20 calls. So 20 divided by the 20 by the 15% gives you 3. And so I go through that type of exercise in the book. It's all about knowing your numbers and you'll be able to take action.
Wow. What if someone's listening? You have people listening and they are the biggest procrastinators in the world. What can they do tomorrow to just start tackling their procrastination habit, unlearning all these bad habits around procrastination?
Well, I would say the first step you could take is to take your smartphone and to get rid of those different alerts and chimes and notifications when you get like an email or when you get like a text message or social media notification. A lot of times we get distracted and it takes us off in a totally different direction.
Okay.
So that's if you just want a basic step that you can take to stop procrastinating, that's one thing. The other thing is to really be careful what you say yes to, and don't be afraid to say no. No is a great word to use, and when you get requests, does it line up with your passions? Does it line up with your priorities? Does it line up with your personal abilities?
So what I hear you saying is you have to set boundaries to protect your purpose and all the activities that you need to do. Wow.
Yes. So here's a quick exercise for the listener, and this is called zero-based thinking. Take a look at the things you said yes to, commitments that you've involved yourself in, and ask yourself, knowing what you know today, would you have gotten yourself into that activity?
Wow.
And if the answer is no, then okay, what do you need to do to get out of what you're in?
Wow. And out of the thousands and thousands of people that you've coached and asked that question, what percentage didn't really want to do the thing in the first place?
Oh, it's a very high percentage.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, I mean, they're like the president of the PTA, they're the vice president of the Homeowners Association, they've said yes to so many different things. And a lot of times they've said yes out of obligation, or even, on their job, they've taken on work projects that they really don't have time for because they don't want to make what's called a career limiting move, or what they consider to be a career limiting move, by saying no, or saying that they just don't have the time to do it. So now they're bogged down in things that they aren't passionate about. And so when you say yes to something that doesn't line up with your passions, by default, you're saying no to something that does.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
You're automatically saying no.
That makes sense. Wow. Well, Eric, you've certainly given us a lot to process around procrastination. You've given us some tips and some things we can do right away to help us with our procrastination habit. I love that you talked about what it's costing you, what it costs you, and all the examples. So I want to thank you for that.
I'm glad to be on your show. And so hopefully the members of your audience know how they can get a hold of me and get access to the book.
All your information will be in the show notes. If you want to contact Eric, all of his information will be in the show notes. The link to his book, The Discipline of Now, will also be in the show notes for this episode. Because, Eric, we have a lot of procrastinators out there. And you've coached thousands and thousands of people already. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. And I want you guys to let me know what you thought about this episode. As you know, I've said the last couple of weeks, this is one of the last episodes for the 2017 season. We'll be back in January with a lot of good shows and a lot of good experts to talk to you about inner tools and strategies that you can use in your life. And it doesn't matter how busy your schedule is. I want to hear from you. I want you to let me know what topics you'd like to hear in 2018.
Thank you for listening to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. This podcast is sponsored by DianeRandallConsults.com. If you like this show, the best way to support it is by leaving 5-star feedback on iTunes. And please, feel free to email your questions, comments, and suggestions to feedback@DianeRandallConsults.com. Until next week, namaste.